Well, David, an interesting one today.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to
episode 11.
episode 11 of Talk Scottish Football.
So much to talk about.
This is probably the most... I said this a couple of episodes ago, but this is probably the most exciting episode yet for everything that has unfurled over the past few days in both Europa League, Scottish Cup.
Well, that's the thing, we're literally just off the back of Europa League games and you'd expect that to be the talking point, but oh my god, them cup replays.
Goals galore in the Scottish Cup replays.
Yeah. Should we just kick off with them, shall we?
We're kicking off
We'll
with
do
the
it
Scottish
in a little bit chronological order.
Yes.
So
your words out, son.
What were we? Tuesday night was St Mirren away to Motherwell in a game that I think we both predicted a Motherwell win.
Relatively. Both of us predicted.
I thought it'd be comfortable for Motherwell, you know.
I mean, I did say in the last podcast, you know, can't overlook St Mirren. They are a decent team. When they set up right, they can cause a lot of problems for an attacking team.
You were working, were you not, Tuesday night? And I'm sure I texted you the score, and you were like, "What's going on there?"
I don't think I was working, but I was doing something.
You missed it anyway. Anyway,
but I've caught up.
I wasn't really following it, but then I just went on Twitter. I was like, "Oh, 2-0 St Mirren. That's decent." That, and all of a sudden, half time, they're 4-1 up.
4-1 up.
And I was like,
I thought it was game over.
Yeah, well, first of all, what is going on? And secondly, like, that should be... St Mirren are just sailing through. You're thinking, what a result.
I'll tell you what, and it's a story for both games, but obviously we'll come on to the Aberdeen Kilmarnock one, but for both games, defensively, oh my goodness, God almighty.
Yeah, I know.
Like, there's not a great deal of defensive ability on show.
You were at that classic football shirt signing.
That's where I was, yes. That was it.
But... Because we were both talking about heading through to this, and I'm really annoyed we didn't now. Because that would have been...
£6 a ticket to see 8
goals? It was 12 and 6 or something like that. So, I mean, so half-time, 4-1 St Mirren, Obika at the double, a guy who I think his finishing ability has been questioned.
And see, to be fair to him, the finishes in this game were quite tidy, you know, especially I think it was the second goal, balls whipped in, and just the first touch of the ball, bang, in the back of the net. It's a lovely wee finish. Yeah. It does well.
I mean, it was one each after 27 minutes, and then St Mirren going 4-1 at half-time. That's just remarkable. And then you're coming out in the second half, you're thinking, right, I mean, there's no way Motherwell are going to come back. I mean, Motherwell at the moment look a little bit low on... They seem to be sort of stuttering a little bit just now, so you think, it's going to be a struggle. And then...
The way I looked at it was, surely now Motherwell have to just shut up shop because they could be looking at more goals.
The potential damage...
dangerous.
Yeah, of course. Like, if St Mirren had got a couple more, that's a hugely damaging result. And St Mirren did have chances in the second half, albeit... You know, Motherwell did the unthinkable. Tony Watt getting his first goal for the club.
That was nice to see.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, they want to forget the penalty shootout, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course. And then Aarons, who we talked about, big signing. And then they score 2 in a minute, Aarons and Campbell, and there's 15 to play, and it's 4 each. You just think, what? I mean...
At that point, when I was looking at the scores come through on my phone, I was thinking somebody's surely going to go up and score a winner, but they took us all the way.
The mental thing is, it then goes to extra time, and there's no goals in extra time after 8. And
I think everybody was just knackered.
Yeah, probably.
Do you know what? See, at that point as well, I feel like if I was a player, I feel like turning around to everybody else in the opposition team and saying, right, we've had a decent show here, let's just take it to penalties.
Yeah,
let's do it fairly.
The thing is with the penalty shootout, so...
Oh, wait, hold on. Before we talk about the penalty shootout itself, I spoke a moment ago about the lack of defensive ability, the lack of penalty taking ability. Oh my goodness! It might be one of the worst penalty shootouts I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it wasn't great at all. So, and it's one of those, like, St Mirren went in front. No, I think Motherwell took. St Mirren went in front, and you thought, right, they're going to win it. Then Motherwell bounced back. It was a bit like the game, the penalty shootout, and that Motherwell looked like they were dead and buried. Then they came back into it, and then
if I was Stephen Robinson, the first thing I'd be doing on Wednesday morning at that training ground was getting everybody to step up for an hour and fix their penalty taking.
Yeah.
Because my God, Motherwell. I mean, there was a good. You know, I think there was a space in the penalty shootout where they had 2 opportunities to draw at level with St Mirren, and they missed both penalties, and they weren't even like, you know, unlucky misses. I mean, if there's such a thing, but they were just horrendous.
Well, that's the thing. So like Saints, you know, went in front. Motherwell missed. All of a sudden, they've got the advantage. Then Andrew goes and missed for St Mirren, so then Motherwell can go draw level. Then Tony Watt misses, and then St Mirren have got the chance to go ahead again. They miss. You know, and it was just. It was pretty bizarre, but I tell you what, it's mental. I mean, Jim Goodwin, what is he going to be thinking?
Well,
so,
do you know what?
Right, ultimately, cup football, you win. You get through. You're through. Go to Fir Park and win a magic result.
Aye.
To come to be 4-1 up and get paid back to 4 each.
See, St Mirren now will be, you know, I don't know who they've got in the next round.
The winner of the other replay.
Oh, is that what it is? So... They'll be fancying their chances for a decent wee cup run here. St Mirren.
I mean, yeah, absolutely.
St Mirren are a team who potentially could get to Hampden. See them in the semi-final. I mean, that
well,
performance
of the quarters next, isn't it? So, you know, you're one game away.
If they replicate anything from that first half against Motherwell last night, St Mirren have got a really good chance, because I think they've been a really unlucky team this season. When it comes to the Premiership, they've been so much better than what they were last year, because last year it just seemed like week in, week out, there wasn't any faith in St Mirren. They weren't structured enough. They struggled to keep teams from just bombarding them. This year, defensively, they've been a lot better. It's been the striking issue. You know, they've not got a striker to score them goals. If they had that, they'd been a lot more of a better place in the Premiership.
Obika getting 2, hopefully he can carry that form into the Premiership.
I hope that gives him some confidence.
Yeah, I mean, it's just mental. I mean, Jim Goodwin, I mean, it's one of those, like, it's maybe there's not much point in reading too much into that game because it was just bizarre, but he will be concerned at the way they threw away that lead. But also, you've got to be equally as pleased with the way you gained the lead.
I know. See, for me, Jim Goodwin, looking at his St Mirren team, who were, honestly, let's be fair here, they were the underdogs.
Yeah, of course.
To just get through the game, despite being 4-1 up, Jim Goodwin, I think, yes, if they lost the game in penalties, would it be a very different attitude. But if I was Jim Goodwin, I'd be in there with the champagne partying.
And it's the same for Stephen Robinson. What does he go radio rental at his players for going 4-1 down? Does he commend them for coming back to 4 each? It's a real tough one.
And I guess the downside of it all for Motherwell is, because of their recent form in the league, they would have been hoping to take this and move forward, because every week it looks as though third place is becoming, one step further away for them.
Well, I mean, the flip of that is that maybe that gives them now that the third is their only aim now.
Aye.
Whereas they don't have to worry about the cup. They might get a bit of rest with the cup weekends and stuff. It's mental though, because even a team comes back like that, you never expect them to be the ones that lose on the shootout.
I know.
You always think they're going to have the confidence going into it. So, I mean, the mental strength from St Mirren to actually go ahead and win it is just fantastic. And then, I mean, what a game! What a credit to the country. Like, I mean, in terms of football, I mean, fantastic entertainment. And Wednesday night was.
It's just a shame that Conor McCarthy was in a back line that conceded 4 goals.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just not all that. So we thought Tuesday was good.
Then we got that on Wednesday night.
What? I mean, I think Wednesday was better than Tuesday. It definitely, I mean, it was in terms of like the drama.
I spoke about defensive ability in the first game. In this game, it could have been worse.
Let me just read out some numbers for you, right? So we've got 43, 88, 91, 98, 116, 119, and 120 plus 1.
I'm gonna guess. Guess that's the shirt numbers of the Kilmarnock players.
Sounds like you're playing like bingo or something.
I know.
That's the minutes the goals were scored on. Mental.
It's the 2 goals that baffle me, and it was the 2 kind of. I think one didn't count as an own goal, but I'm going to count it as an own goal myself. Kilmarnock's one, ball came in, Aberdeen player hits it past Joe Lewis, and then I'm sure someone just sneaks it in over the line for Kilmarnock, but I'm counting it as an own goal because it was gone in. And then the other way, on the other side, the exact same thing happens where the Kilmarnock boys hits it into the net for Aberdeen.
The thing is, this game went mental with about 2 minutes to go and then an extra time. That's when the game went mental. But the talking point started for me at half time. So, I mean, I was saying that watching the feed come through Aberdeen's Twitter feed, Derek McInnes made a triple change at half time. I think he hooked McGeoch, Bryson, and McLennan, and brought on, I can't remember, Logan, Cosgrove, and Campbell, I think it was. Now, that to me at half time screamed, this guy's feeling the pressure. He knows if he gets beat tonight, he might be gone.
Aye.
So I thought, this second half's going to be massive for Aberdeen, massive. So they come out, nothing really changes. It's a bit of a rubbish game, and then 88 minutes. Andy Considine, who Aberdeen fans have raved about. I mean, he's been there for years.
I know, he's been there for the test of time.
The thing is, I can't understand how throughout his career he's never got a Scotland call up, because it's not as if we've been blessed.
I remember there was a point where Considine scored like 3 hat-tricks in one season, and that was the season for me. I was like, where's his Scotland call?
There has been a bit of talk that it might still be on his way. I mean, he's playing left back a lot now for Aberdeen, I think, or left of a three.
And obviously the left back position seems to be occupied by the best of our talent.
So then McInnes does that at half time, makes a triple change. You think, wow, he's really feeling it. He's either just lost the plot or he knows he's got to make something drastic.
When I seen it come through, I was obviously at work, and but when I looked back in the game and I seen he made that triple change at half time, my instinct was he's lost the plot. I didn't even consider the fact that it could be his job. I thought he was just like, bugger it.
I mean, we've said how important the cup is to Aberdeen. I mean, if he'd have gone out the cup, I mean, the pressure would have been ridiculous. But so then Aberdeen go and equalise, 88 minutes, goes to extra time. Right. I was kind of just following this on Twitter. I hadn't realised it had gone to extra time, so I got a notification 91 minutes, Matty Kennedy had scored, and I thought, oh my God, I've nicked it.
But
it
was extra time.
Yeah. And I was like, and then I didn't realise it said 96 minutes. I was like, that's a lot of stoppage time. And I was like, oh, they're an extra time, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So then Kelly go and equalise. Eamon Brophy with a free kick from range.
Aye. Do you know what? Just commenting very quickly. I mean, both goalkeepers have much to shout about, but Joe Lewis had a howler in this game.
I think, yeah. I mean,
had an absolute
for
howler.
as much as it was a good strike, you shouldn't be getting beat.
There's one of these he's one of the keepers that in the league for years I've always thought he's probably the best.
Yeah, I think
over the space of the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
But last night's performance was shambolic from Joe Lewis. I thought. Not last night. Sorry, Wednesday night.
To concede 3 is never nice. Brophy though continues his good form. You watch him get a Scotland call up. I mean, if he keeps scoring,
obviously likes him.
Yeah, I think if he keeps scoring, he'll get it. Anyway, enough of that just now. So then, Kelly get it back to 2 each. You think, oh my God, Aberdeen have chucked it. They're going to get to penalties there, and then Kabamba goes and makes it 3-2 to Kelly. And you think, wow, Aberdeen have absolutely chucked this.
Bottled it.
Typical. I mean, McInnes out. I mean, it literally went from McInnes out, McInnes out, McInnes in, McInnes in, McInnes out.
That's just the story of the Aberdeen season, David.
Yeah, and then obviously you think, oh my God, they've taken the penalties, and a typical Aberdeen goal. Sam Cosgrove penalty takes it to 2 penalties for Aberdeen. You're thinking, wow, they've got through to penalties with the skin in their teeth, and then.
Do you think a penalty is good enough to maybe give them some confidence to start scoring again?
Well, I mean. Maybe. I don't know. It just depends if McInnes chucks him back in.
Curtis Main has been the favoured striker for the past couple of weeks.
The thing is, you think he's nicked penalties, and all of a sudden Andy Considine, I think Derek McInnes compared him to Ryan Giggs post-match, running down the left, whipping the ball in, an own goal. It was a horrible goal to end an amazing game, but Aberdeen win it in the first minute of added time, the end of extra time. Unbelievable. I mean, there was a mate of mine who chucked a bet on, I think it was when it was at 2-1 to Killie, he chucked a bet on 3-3. And it was like 18-1, and he was like buzzing this 3-3 had come in, and then all of a sudden they go and score. And
that is gotten. That is
no, but he was an Aberdeen fan, so couldn't care less.
I know. Suppose I mean, it depends how much money I've got in the cards there because I don't know. I'm
wow, what a game! I think that's 2 nights. This is something that's been annoying me for ages. You know, I'm sick fed up with people in this country, especially some pundits, Chris Boyd, undervaluing and underselling our game.
Would you like to speak up and say that again?
Underselling our game constantly. We just had 2 cup replays. Yeah, the defending might not have been great. We saw. What did we say?
You know, it's entertainment, isn't it?
It's 15 goals in 2 games, and we couldn't have either of them televised because we've got to obey the big corporate rules. That means you can't televise games where the Champions League's on. Apart from if you play in the English Premiership, then that's okay. You know?
Because it's the Premiership.
Rubbish. I mean, I tell you what, if those games were on TV, I'd have much rather watch them in the Champions League.
No, I see, to be honest, I mean, you look at the Champions League offering during the week.
You like your European football, though. I couldn't care less. I'd rather watch Kelly.
You look at the Champions League offering Valencia and who were Valencia playing again? Valencia and Atalanta. Right, I know there's probably people all over Europe and especially down in England that are like,
hipsters, man, absolute hipsters.
I'd rather watch that one than Aberdeen and Kilmarnock. But let's be honest, if we're up here, we should be supporting their game. And
I mean, if they were on TV,
a couple of games to support. I mean, they were absolutely outstanding in terms of, you know, if you want goals, you want entertaining football, you had it right there. And I feel like there's just this. And I don't want to turn this into the podcast where we rant about Scottish football and this episode in particular. You look at people and go, oh, it's just shambolic, they can't kick a ball, blah, blah, blah. It's just, you know, it's entertaining. What we've seen during the week there. Absolutely fantastic.
It's moments like that extra time period in the Aberdeen-Kelly game that makes you like love
and you
football.
Think about and you think about how, obviously, you're a Dunfermline fan, I'm a Celtic fan. We weren't on the end of joy in those 2 games. But think of the Aberdeen and St Mirren fans after their games during the week.
Of course.
Because it's not just winning a game, it's the manner they won them.
The St Mirren fans would have had all the emotions in the world on Tuesday night. I mean, that's why you love football.
St Mirren haven't had anything to shout about since they won the League Cup.
Yeah, I mean, 4-1 at half time, they're in dreamland. I think the guy that runs the Pie and Bovril forums, I think he's a St Mirren fan, and he put a tweet out at half time, watch this go and be 4-4, typical St Mirren, and he was like, if it does, I'm putting the forum down for maintenance, stuff like that. So then like it goes 4 each, and St Mirren fans have gone from like cloud 9 to just as low as you can be, and then all of a sudden they win on penalties, and it's just sheer relief almost.
And that is right, let's just, before we move on to Europa League, let's just compare the emotion of football here. Think about the St Mirren fans in that scenario. Think about the Liverpool fans on Tuesday night after getting beat for Atletico. Couldn't care less.
Yeah.
There was no, real emotion from Liverpool fans.
That's why Scottish football for me is just superior to the rest of it. It's
still
got that raw sort of emotion
passion
that you don't get, especially in European games, you know. And then Wednesday night was just an unbelievable game.
Well, you talk about European games.
As much as I've slagged Europe, but I tell you what though, I wouldn't have watched any game last night if Celtic and Rangers weren't playing. I honestly wouldn't.
Not a chance.
I mean,
what are you going to watch?
Arsenal, Olympiacos, no thanks.
Wolves and Espanyol. What a thriller! But I'll tell you what, Europa League superior to Champions League.
So, we'll let you kick us off.
Right. Well, we'll
what
save
first half.
We'll save the more entertaining game, I suppose, for the last time. We'll come to Celtic. So last night I was in work, but yes, I saw the whole game. Don't worry, not getting a misinformed point of view here. If you told me,
Tesco going to be monitoring you from now on.
no, not a chance. They'll never catch me. I shouldn't say this in the air in case anybody is listening. Hello, Tom. I'm not doing anything. Aye. First half performance. If you told me before the game that we'd walk away from Copenhagen with a 1-1 draw, I'd have said, that's fantastic. We'll take that. Brilliant. That's a result we can build on at Parkhead, and surely we'll see ourselves through the tie. That is exactly what I'd have said to you before the game. On that first half performance, we should have been 3-0 up within 15-20 minutes.
Should have been 4 up at half time, I think.
Yep.
Really.
Our missed chances came back to bite us in the backside. And after that first half performance, I don't want to say bitterly disappointed, because do you know what? It's still,
the tie could have been killed after 45 minutes.
Yep, it's still, walking away from home in Europe, which historically for Celtic has been a task beyond comprehension.
Yeah.
Walking away from Europe with a positive result. But in that first half, after seeing that, to go on and play as bad as we did in the second, it is quite disappointing. I don't know what was the change. I think it was just the fact Copenhagen came out a completely different team in the second half. And in the second half, I feel like Celtic were limited to so many options. It just made us play purely defensive football. When you seen Brown come off, bring on Baton, and then Seminovic comes on, it just kind of tumbled out of our hands in the second half.
I think, well, first of all, for Edward, I mean, it's difficult to have a go at him for missing chances because he's been so good.
Mm-hmm.
I like the way that for his goal he learned from the first two.
Aye.
And he just dinked it over. Lovely finish. I think, though, I put a tweet out at half-time that game. I said Celtic should be winning this game. There was enough to suggest that Celtic should have the tie killed tonight if they go and take their chances and cut out the errors. But I think there were signs of the second half performance. There were signs of it in the first half. The amount of times that, like, Christopher Julian and Christopher Julian, is that his name?
Aye, Christopher Julian.
And then Christopher, and then Ayer.
Ayer.
So I don't know why I got confused there. And then I've said I know you've said previously in the podcast you have complete faith in them too. My biggest criticism of both of them is the amount of times they're up against a striker and they get too tight, or they dive in, or especially that guy up front for Copenhagen last night, he never was going to have the pace on either of them. But the amount of times that Ayer went too tight and he got in behind, or he went too tight and he fouled him. And then it was stuff like Brown gave the ball away and Sham was giving the ball away. They were sloppy in possession. And they kind of got away with it in the first half.
Aye.
But they didn't in the second half.
Second half were far too sloppy. It was embarrassing at points. It was really frustrating because we saw how good we could be in the first half. For me, I understand where you're coming from with Ayer, especially in the game yesterday. I think together both of them had a decent enough game because it could have been far worse.
They win everything in the air, but it's just when strikers get to feet.
Take that in Ayer's side. For me, Christopher Julian was easily, and I know you don't agree with me, easily the best player in the park for Celtic last night. Christopher Julian is an absolute, and you've got to remember that's a guy who played the whole game with a fucking tissue up his nose.
Yeah, but admittedly, I mean, he gave the ball away himself many times. It wasn't like, I don't think there was anyone really in that Celtic team who was.
The second half, the whole team disappeared.
Yeah, but it was just like the way they kept losing the ball. I just thought was bizarre. And like, if you're struggling to, because it seems to be like they get the ball at the back, they want to build to the midfield with Brown, McGregor. If that's not working, just hit Edward in the channel.
No,
just for 5 minutes, just get up the pitch.
You seen what was happening in the first half. We were abusing putting that ball in behind for Edward, and it was working perfectly. I don't know why we didn't, relate back to that. There's so many points I want to bring up this game, so many, and I want to try and get through as many of them as possible. So I'll be quick. First one, you brought up McGregor a minute ago. What's he doing? You know what I'm talking about, surely. Through on goal.
Oh yeah.
He's got Edward
He's still
right at the left hand side of him.
Gladbach away all those years ago.
There he is. Edward's right there.
Yeah.
Slip the ball through. He has so much time to give Edward the ball.
The thing is, though, there was a time I remember, especially when Edward was in a similar situation. He had Christy McGregor and Forrest all with him, and he just completely lost it. So
the McGregor one's an absolute howler because it's not even like he takes a decent attempt on goal. He could have panned a window in that end.
I know.
So that was one of the frustrations because we should have had a goal there, and that was in the second half as well. So you know what? That would have helped put the game beyond doubt. The second one, Scott Brown, what are you doing?
I think
lunging into a stupid tackle and gets himself injured.
I think he must have been carrying a knock before, and he was hopeless last night.
He was hopeless, but there was no need for him to go into that tackle.
It was a really bad tackle. I also said this to you. Another referee might have seen that as a red card.
And at first, I honestly thought the referee was going to get
because the criteria.
Not saying that I would have.
You have to say that was reckless and out of control.
Aye.
I mean, it's just stupid.
I'm not saying that I would have went over red, but it was horrendous. He shouldn't have went in like that.
Middle of the park as well. The boy's going nowhere. Just someone that has experience. It almost like it was frustration to Scott Brown at how the game was going.
Aye.
But back to that. I can't get my head around, right? It's common sense at any level of football. If you're struggling, you're under the cosh for 5-10 minutes. Just clear your lines and get up the pitch. Just get up the pitch, get Edward in the corner, get up, regroup. But they just kept trying to play it in their own half and then lose it. and it was just inviting Copenhagen onto them. It was just mental. And I know you said earlier on whether it might have been Beaton coming up. I don't think Beaton was any worse than Brown was.
I don't think it was worse,
especially
than
with how
it changed the dynamic for the Celtic team.
But also, I mean, he's got to adapt to the game coming into a game, out of the blue. He wouldn't have been expected to come on there. I just thought, I mean, Frimpong as well. He got chucked in last night. His first game
out of his depth for me.
He did okay in parts. His end product was horrific last night.
Aye.
But I thought it was bizarre to chuck him in, having not played for ages. I mean, for me, the sensible thing would have been Ayer at right back
position.
Especially in Europe, you can have that solidity.
I honestly thought Moritz Bill was going to get a start last night.
I think it would. Simunovic and Beaton are both fit. Ayer at right back would have made sense.
Right, my third point, very quickly. I'm going to try and get all 4 or 5 of these across very, very quickly. Third point, you talked about up the park a minute ago. Celtic getting up the park and doing whatever. How much of a difference was Lee Griffiths have made last night? I think the game was crying out for Griffiths.
Yeah.
I think he was needed so desperately.
Because the thing is, what you've seen with Griffiths when he's played recently up with Edward is Edward sat on the shoulder and Griffiths has come in sort of in between the lines and picked the ball up and got Celtic turning and going forward. A lot of the stuff Griffiths has done since he come back has actually gone under the radar, I think, because he scored a few goals, but the game against Motherwell especially, the amount of times he was coming into midfield, picking it up, flicking it around a corner, getting the whole team forward. Yeah, you're right, he would have made a big difference last night.
It was just all I could think of in the second half.
I don't think he would have started though. If he was
I wish we could have went for the 3-5-2 last night.
Yeah, I think he would have started on the bench if he was fit.
I do think
bring him on
would
have
have started
the
game with a 4-2-3-1, but it's just the fact of having him available to come on at any point in that game would have been absolutely tremendous.
And it was last night for me was typical Olivier Ntcham. Like on his day he's unplayable, but see when he's off it, he's hopeless.
Aye.
I mean,
can be.
He reminds me a bit of Aribo at Rangers. See when Aribo's on it, he's unreal. But see when he's off it,
last night.
Yeah, he's worse than a man short.
Very quickly, I think I've only got one more point to bring up. My very last point on the game. Fraser Forster, best keeper in the world. Honestly,
he's got to get a call up for England.
He's got to. I mean, granted, I think the number one choice has got to be big Dean Henderson.
Yeah, Fraser Forster's better than Jordan Pickford.
Aye, absolutely. There's only one keeper in this whole entire entity of earth that can stand between the sticks with a man 12 yards away from him, and I will say this is getting saved.
Yeah, I said it as well. I was so
Every
confident
time
he was going to save it.
Aye, I was standing there and walking. I was watching it with my pal James.
But the thing is, it was such a great save. It wasn't like
I know.
I mean, it was like fingertip, really, wasn't
tipped onto the post. And I turned to James. He's an Arsenal fan.
Shocking.
Aye, I know.
Where's he from?
Uddingston.
That's embarrassing.
So he was sitting beside me and he was like, that's like he's going down 2-1 here, and I was like, nope, Forster's saving it. And I was right.
Yeah, I felt he was going to save it as well.
I just feel it every single time.
Yeah.
I guess one thing before we move on to the Rangers game we touch on, I think we had a kind of disagreement before the show. Was it a penalty? Was it a penalty?
For penalty. Well, no, I don't have a disagreement. It is a penalty because the rules suggested it's a penalty. However,
I can understand where you're going to come for here.
Like, what is Ryan Christie supposed to do? Like, what? Chop his arm off?
I know, it's one of those things, you can't help it. Like, you jump up for the header, your hand's there.
Admittedly, he does jump up. He doesn't need to jump up with his arm that high, but it like comes off the guy's head, and then it's not even like a yard away. And like I could understand if the ball was going into the net. I could understand that. To be honest, I can still understand it. I just think that the way the handball rule is now, it's so unforgiving that I just find it hilarious how before the game I put up a tweet saying can't wait for the Rangers fans to be crying about VAR decisions and then bang, we're the one that gets popped with serves you right.
Decision like that.
Anyway, let's move on to Rangers as much as maybe you don't want to.
This was unbelievable. Unreal.
Right, I got a bit of stick last night. I don't even take back what I said at halftime. Halftime I said Braga are miles ahead of Rangers.
Yep.
And there was other Rangers fans who agreed with me, and then all of a sudden at full time they're like, what were you saying? Everyone who was watching that game last night for the first hour would have said Braga were miles ahead of Rangers.
And because this is, I'll tell you the story for me on this side is halftime rolled along in the Rangers Braga game, and we have our wee season ticket chat for 3 years.
Yeah.
And my pal Kieran, he put the message in saying, I tell you what, if we get through to the last 16,
you don't want Braga.
Don't want Braga. But at the end of the game, tell you what, the last 16, I'd take Braga.
So first half, Rangers. That was the worst I've seen Rangers play under Steven Gerrard. I think. I mean, admittedly, I haven't seen them always, but from what I've seen, I thought they were horrific.
I mean, they had a few chances. I mean,
Davis, Kamara, hopeless.
I know Kamara was absolutely dreadful.
They couldn't pass to each other.
Aye.
They kept giving it away, and like last night was such a big opportunity. it's like talking about two different games. This because the first hour was like a different game. For the first hour, they were horrendous, awful. I mean, Braga were good, but Rangers made them look $1 million.
Because one of the messages that I seen during the game was the minute Kamara comes off, the Carnival de Paris is getting played.
Yeah. I mean, he played like you'd expect a 50,000 player from Dundee to play in Europe. Albeit he has been very good. I think this time Rangers
he has been a
hopeless
very
last
good
night.
player. Last night just had an off game, I think.
The one player for me who was a positive in the first hour was Hadji, and I said it in our group chat. I said Hadji's big. I mean, I've said every time I've seen him, I've been impressed. He was brilliant last night. Morelos, I'm just going to touch on this. What an idiot.
Oh,
what a daft!
You said it, not me.
And the thing is, I've said in the podcast in recent weeks how much I like Morelos. I love the way he gets stuck in and he annoys
especially
defenders.
in Europe.
I love that, and I think if he gets booked for that, fine. But when you are booking off a suspension that's going to put you out the next leg in Europe, and you get booked for dissent,
so that is
horrendous.
So I never even knew.
He's out next week.
That's it.
So that's. I mean, I said once he got booked, the tie was over.
Wow.
And admittedly, it's not over now. But
it's not over.
It's to go there next week.
We'll speak about what happened next
I'm
week,
getting a bit carried away. But what an idiot to do. I mean, like
stupid.
If you're Steven Gerrard, you just gotta be like, so angry.
And that was one of the things I've seen as well. The differentiation between Morelos and Edouard when it comes to transfer fees. Both of them remarkable footballers. Don't get me wrong. But people are not going to want to pay £40 million for Alfredo Morelos when he does stuff like this.
Because it's like, if he got booked for pressing high and catching somebody, if it's part of his game, it happens. Mm-hmm. But when you're booking off a suspension, you keep your mouth shut.
Aye.
There's got to be someone, one of the senior players at Rangers has got to be like, from what I can gather, he's the sort of figure that you want to put the arm in the shoulder, but there's got to be a point where you just lose it with him.
I know.
Because it's going to cost the team maybe next week.
And Morelos as well in the game, missing an absolute howler. Can I just throw that in because I like to?
Yeah, it was a bad miss.
It reminded me a lot of the
one at
Ibrox.
Yeah.
That it reminded me a lot of that.
Thing is, he's definitely low on confidence last night. That was a bad miss. The other chances he had, keeper does really well. But the thing is with Morelos, when Braga pushed high, he was always a threat in behind. And next week, Braga at home, a goal behind, are going to have to push high. Mm-hmm. So then you've got Morelos in behind. He's going to have all the joy in the world. You think that game will be tailor-made for him, and he's not going to make it now. But
you talk
the second half.
Oh, unbelievable!
Not even the second half. The last half hour.
Yep. Because it's well right. The thing is for me, they go 1-0 at half time, 1-0 down. I'm like, it's despite how good Braga have been, all it takes is one moment of brilliance. As soon as Braga get the second goal, and that's in the second half, I'm like, there's no chance now. It's too late. It's far too late.
Yeah, especially with everything you'd seen from Rangers up until that point, there was nothing to suggest they were going to do that. And you thought if the reaction would come at half time, and it was more of the same for the first 15, and then Hadji, who he is Rangers. I saw a tweet last night. I can't remember who it was. The Rangers should just build their team around Hadji,
and they should. I mean, he is a
from what he's seen so far. He's played off the right just now, but I think if you played him as a 10 with someone either side of him, he'd be unreal.
It's crazy how what must be frustrating for Rangers fans. For me, if I was a Rangers fan, what I'd be frustrated at is, and God forbid being a Rangers fan, but if I was a Rangers fan, in January the most desperate thing that they needed was a creative midfielder. They get it, and they get one of the best it looks like they could potentially get.
Yeah, we said it in our January window show. We didn't think either of the Old Firm had improved their squad.
Yep.
Rangers have got
arguably
their best
on
player
paper. That's fantastic, great, but they come back from signing them, and it's just
everyone else is rubbish.
It's been done. Everybody else is just letting them down. So for me, it's incredibly frustrating. But you can't take that away from the boy himself. Hadji has in last night.
First goal's a great finish.
Oh, aye. I mean, granted, I think his second goal. Bit questionable.
Yeah, but
but that's what you need in Europe.
It's the confidence. It's the confidence to come in and like, right, I'm taking this.
Aye.
Out of the road, this is mine. Especially when you've got Tavernier there, who can hit a good free kick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if Barisic was off by that point, but he gets the 2 goals, brilliant, and then Aribo comes on.
Aribo's goal was tremendous.
Sorry,
Aribo's goal was really good.
So Barisic goes off, and I think Halliday will be on here, and Aribo comes on, and I'm like, Aribo's playing left back. What's going on here?
Was he playing left back?
He came on. He played left back. He came on. And I text
fair play him.
Boys, I was like, Aribo playing left back. Has he ever played there before? Seconds later, amazing. He's done it. What a goal, by the way.
It is some goal. I mean, there's something about watching Aribo dribble with the ball at his feet that kind of gives me the fear. I don't know. It doesn't look natural.
But he is.
But
that's what I said. He is like Cham, whereas when he's at it, he's unplayable. But it's like he's so
Where
hot
is
and
it?
cold.
Was it Charlton they signed him for?
Yeah, and
Aye.
this is, I said last night, Lee Boyer, right? Who do you remember the stuff in the summer? Lee Boyer was like, "Oh, don't go to Rangers. You'd be better off staying at Charlton and stuff."
Aye.
Heaven forbid, if he was still at Charlton, he'd have been playing it up in glamour nights, away to Wigan and scoring
Yep.
goals like that. God.
Like, there is no way that players with the right mindset can ever turn down the chance to play
That's
for
what I mean
Celtic
about-
or Rangers
That's
when
what I
they're
mean
playing the
about
Championship.
underselling
in
our
England.
game. It's just like people like Lee Boyer who think that staying at Charlton's a better career move than going to Rangers. Have a
Aye.
word with yourself, man.
I mean, it's different when you look at somebody like Scott Sinclair who was coming to the end of his Celtic careers, moving to
Yeah,
Preston.
but that's because he wasn't good enough to
Aye.
get games up here.
Aye.
So, anyway, I mean, wow. The last half hour, Ibrox absolutely rocking. Unbelievable turnaround from Rangers. I still stand by what I said for half time. Braga were just miles ahead for the large portion of that game. There's one player for as much as it's a Scottish football show. That Trincao, 77 for Braga last night. I think he's going to Barcelona, or he's signed for Barcelona in the summer. What a player!
Aye.
There were so many for Braga last night that were
Is
just
that the boy
unbelievable.
that's on loan from Barcelona?
Oh, maybe he's on.
Aye,
Maybe that's what it
I
was.
think he's. I remember there was somebody. The commentator said at the start of the game there's somebody on. Did he score?
No, he didn't.
No,
score.
right, okay. There was a boy who did score last night. He scored in his debut for Braga.
Abel Ruiz, yeah.
Aye, and he's on loan from
The
Barcelona.
thing is, I think we all expected Braga to
Is
get a
it
tough
Barcelona?
game,
Sure it is.
but I don't think anyone expected them to be as good as they were, which makes this result for Rangers all the better.
It
because-
does. I'm not taking away anything from the Rangers result because that's incredible. If that happened at Celtic Park, I would be buzzing.
yeah.
And rightfully, Rangers fans, you should be happy. But for me, a 3-2 home win against a team that showed how good they can be is not enough, and I don't think they're going to get the job done.
The
next
thing
week.
is, right-
I don't want to just drain the positivity and all that. I don't want to just. And honestly, Rangers, give it a good go when you go out there. I mean, that
Oh, they
sounds-
will, and that's the thing.
They will, but I just think the way that Braga played for the majority of that game suggests to me that next week away from home in Europe, Rangers are going to struggle, and it only takes 1-0 Braga, and that's it, game over.
The thing is, I would be inclined to agree with you, especially with not having Morelos next week.
Mm-hmm.
However, Braga are going to have to come out. They're going to have to push forward, put Rangers in the cosh. This is where you need. I mean, Ryan Kent has been hopeless since the winter break. Hopeless.
Been hopeless
And
the majority
that's not
of this
even
season, I think.
over egging it. He's been hopeless since he came back.
I think he's the biggest waste of money so far. He might prove me wrong, but I think for £7 million, you're looking at arguably one
It's a
of the
story for
biggest
another- it's a
wastes
story
of
for
money
another
in Scottish
day,
football.
But that game next week, you're relying on someone like him to use his pace in the counter. Hadji as well. Whoever he plays through the middle, you'd imagine it'll be Canberry. The fact that they're going into a European away tie, whether they're on the verge of going through if they get a good result with Hibs' third choice striker up front, is a bit bizarre. But
To be fair to Canberry, played well last night. And
He
once
did do
again,
well
a lot
at
of
the weekend
Rangers
also.
fans saying that's 2 games in a
but
row.
it's
He's
a
changed
different
the game.
it's a different kettle of fish to come off the bench with 15 to go to then start a game away from home in Europe
Aye.
against a quality side. Rangers, Rangers are going to be playing on the counter next week. If they can, be solid at the back and catch them on the counter, who knows? All it takes is one goal over there, and I think they're through.
I'm not denying that. See, the thing is,
I genuinely think that if Rangers score a goal over there, I think they're through.
that changes everything. But for me, I don't think it's completely off the cards. I think Rangers are good enough, and they've shown already away from home in Europe in the group stage that they can hold their ground, they can play decent enough football. They haven't been bad at all. I'm not saying that it's completely done and over. I just think that the way Braga played last night, if they can just replicate any of that, then it's done for Rangers.
For as much as Braga were good, though, Rangers made them look amazing, and if Rangers do cut out the errors they made, which I think they will, it should make it an easier defensive job.
It'll be tasty.
The pitch at Ibrox, by the way, I know we mentioned it last week. It's a joke, isn't it? It's embarrassing.
It's
I think everyone was like, I heard so many
shocking.
pundits midweek being like, "Oh, it's going to help Rangers to conditions." Rangers struggled with the pitch more than Braga did last night.
And they struggled. They weren't exactly great against Livingston either.
No, and it's
Honestly, I
horrendous.
thought I was watching the game in Dunkirk or something.
That's
It
the
was-
one thing about last night that, for as much as Scottish football's had a great week, people on the continent watching that game, seeing one of our top teams having a pitch like that, it's like.
And
horrific.
the bad part about it is it'd probably be like that for the remainder of the season.
Yeah. Finally, last bit of European news. After last night's result, Scotland are now destined to have 2 Champions League places next
And just to
season.
clarify, because we've got no camera yet, David had his arms in the air while he
Yeah,
said that. His
celebrating.
joys.
A Dunfermline fan celebrating extra European spots. Come on!
Right, quickly before we move on to talking about I want to touch one last thing on Celtic and Rangers
Okay.
because
How long have
it's
we been talking, by the way? You've got the
interesting.
time, I don't.
for 35 minutes we've been on.
We've not done as much as I thought.
We're doing well.
Anyway.
But my question to you is, what is your attitude towards this, right? Because you're a Dunfermline fan, completely different. Should Celtic and Rangers fans be bitter towards the other team in Europe or want to see a result like that? Because on one hand, I've got my dad, and people hate me saying this, my dad was chuffed to hear that Rangers won last night because he thinks it's great for the game, it's good advert, blah, 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 blah. But then on the younger side of the spectrum, people that I know hate seeing Rangers win altogether and want to see them get absolutely battered in Europe. What's your attitude towards it?
Here's the thing, right?
Because I know you're very vocal on stuff like this, and the Old Firm support, you're very vocal on it, so I like to hear your thoughts.
Bunch of nonsense, man. No, listen, right? For as much as
just to clarify, he said nonsense.
Yeah.
Nonsense.
I think that I'm delighted that Rangers won last night. I'm delighted that Celtic got a positive result. I want them both to go as far as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I literally would love it if they just went through the whole way. It'd be fantastic. However, if I was a Dunfermline fan and we were in Europe every single season and all of a sudden Falkirk were in second place and they were winning
what world are we in here?
big European nights, you know what I mean? I can kind of understand why some Celtic fans would be a bit like, oh, they won tonight, God. But it's a generational thing. I think at the moment, I think there's a lot of Celtic Rangers tensions just rifing up again, big time, especially with social media and stuff like that. So I don't know. I mean, it's good competition because ultimately Celtic had a decent result last night, and I think, it's a positive result for us. Celtic fans won't be feeling great about last night because of how good Rangers did. It's just a fact. I, as a neutral, would love to see them both getting through and stuff, but I can understand why they might not want each other to win.
I was expecting you going a passionate
especially now that the second Champions League spot is near enough secured. I mean,
because that's Rangers have moved above. Was it Prague or something?
I think Celtic's European performance it doesn't matter what Rangers do. If Celtic keep winning the league, they're always going to be in Europe. So for them, it doesn't really matter.
Rangers have to turn up though.
Yeah.
But how much longer will that be the case? We don't know.
Yeah, so next week will be interesting.
Oh, it will be. I can't wait.
Rangers on Wednesday, aren't they?
Celtic I was baffled by that when you told me. I thought you were taking the mick.
Oh.
I was insisting it was on the Thursday. So what is the actual reason for that? Is there has there been anything said on it?
No idea.
Oh well.
There will be a reason though. It'll probably be to do with domestic football, being like Celtic will play the Sunday, Rangers will play the Saturday. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
That might be wrong though. I don't know. But yeah, a really great week for Scottish football.
Oh, it was.
Loved it.
Absolutely tremendous. And let's hope that we do repeat it next week.
So let's move on to the weekend's action. We'll start with Friday night football. We'll hopefully get this podcast out with a couple of hours before this starts.
I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't know what you're doing either. We should probably stop.
I was just giving us a wee kind of
we'll go with the Premiership. What a massive game at St Mirren tonight.
Oh.
Every week Hearts play, it's a massive game.
Oh,
I think Liam Boyce is missing this as well for injury.
I'm talking about Hearts, Dave.
I'm fed up with them not turning it around. I almost want them to turn it around now. But Boyce is missing tonight, I think.
Was he?
Yep.
That's it, St Mirren won.
Conor McCarthy hat trick.
Yeah.
I don't even know what. Like I'm a bit like fed up talking about Hearts because
you just see
the same
thing
stuff
every week,
single week.
Yeah, surely they're going to turn it round.
If they do this, they might turn it around. If they get beat, they might. People have been reporting this week. I know we talked about this last week when I gave the Sun a bit of a bashing, and I still stand by that. I think PLZ Soccer had said that Friday was D-Day for Stendhal, and he's got to win. What's he? 11 games, 1 win. Something I can't remember how it's like 4 draws and 6 losses or something like that.
Absolutely shocking.
It is woeful, especially when you consider that the win was against Rangers.
I know.
I mean,
rub it in.
The thing is, everyone's like, oh, if they get beat tonight, he's got to go. Right? Does anyone in the right mind trust Anne Budge to then get a suitable replacement?
You know who the replacement will be.
I tell you what, though, and I'm going to say this, and people might criticise me. If Craig Levein was still at Hearts, they would be off the bottom. There's a shout for you. I don't think they would have. I think they'd have stayed up.
Do you know what? I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Hearts fans are going to be raging to hear that, but
I do agree. I think Levein had to go, but
at the same time, I think they're worse off.
Has changed.
I think they'd be in a better position if he was still there.
The thing is, who did they go for? Who did they get? Because
that's the thing. Everyone's like
they'd end up getting like Stephen Presley or something.
I think they wanted Presley before Levein got the job. Anyway, so Stendhal came in and everyone was like, "Good, finally an out the box appointment that wasn't just the usual managerial merry-go-round stuff." But then if Hearts go and get someone in, right, who are they going to get in? Because they can't go and get someone who's going to bring it up. Like, Stendhal's obviously got a project he wants to build. Mm-hmm. It's too late for that now. He just needs results.
This is it.
So then what? So Hearts sack Stendhal. Who do they go and get? Mark McGee, Yogi Hughes. Like,
these are the names. Owen Coyle.
Owen Coyle. They're the names that'll be chucked around.
And
everyone will just be moaning about them. So
I
don't know. I don't trust Anne Budge to make up.
Here's
the
a
right
shout for you.
Anyway.
Mixu Patalino.
Dundee United fans, I'll be delighted about that. I think I don't even know what I think. I literally don't know.
Look, it's a game where I think I think St Mirren are going to do it. Honestly, I don't.
But I don't see even any point in me making a prediction for this game because it will probably be wrong.
It's the week I turn round and I say St Mirren will do it because Hearts are just garbage. And then this is a game Hearts will win, and then they'll go on a run again.
No, they won't
after
go on a
10
run.
games.
Hearts will win tomorrow night, and they'll go
saying-
get hammered next
That's what I'm
week.
saying. They'll go on a run of getting hammered every single week after winning against St Mirren.
I was listening to Open Goal yesterday, not to shout out the competition, but no. I was listening.
Don't worry, I've got tickets to go and see them.
Cy Ferry made a really great point. The manager should be irrelevant. Hearts without a manager should have enough.
Oh no, absolutely.
He still maintains that Hearts are the third best squad in Scotland.
I still maintain it. I do. I predicted them third.
When you go through the names, like
I predicted them third at the start of the season,
so
and I honestly
you've-
still look at that team and go, "That's a third place
you've got
team."
Suter, you've got Halkett, you've got Naismith, you've got Boyce, you've got Connor Washington who was
Big
playing.
Uche was great
You've
at
got Connor
times.
Washington who was playing in the Championship in England last season. They should be without a manager. Right, stuff like Stendhal wants them to play high, and right, so they're playing a high line and then they're getting done in behind. Surely, like Naismith can be right, come on lads, let's
I
just
know.
drop 5 yards.
Aye.
Like, forget what the manager's saying. Just
I
sort it
know.
out yourselves.
Because
These are players who've done it throughout their career. They've got to be good enough to drag themselves out without a manager. Forget the manager.
obviously there was that story of it. We spoke on it last week, and you rubbished it because of the stuff with the Sun, and it seems like Naismith has also rubbished it himself about the unrest in the camp.
Of course, there's unrest in the camp. They're bottom of the league.
Aye,
You would be surprised if there wasn't unrest in the camp.
that's what my point is from this is. Why is there not a little bit more authority within that group of players to make
Stand up.
changes?
Just stand up and be like, right, listen. If they don't agree with what the manager's doing, deal with it on the pitch.
And
Just take control on the pitch.
And this is why I think St Mirren will win on Friday night, because this is a Hearts team that is clearly frustrated. St Mirren, for me, are one of the best teams in the league for frustrating opponents.
Yeah.
I think this has got a St Mirren win written all over it.
Yeah.
And I'll probably be proven wrong.
Especially if
but-
Hearts are playing high. Obika's got the pace to get in behind. You know,
I mean, if he can build on what he done on Tuesday night,
yeah, of course. He's in
Right.
confidence. St Mirren just got through. The thing is, right, if St Mirren perform like they do on Thursday night, they'll hammer Hearts because Hearts don't have it in them to come back the way Motherwell did. Do you know what I mean? So, like, that's... Although, I honestly am fed up talking about Hearts because
so
no matter what we say about Hearts, it is probably going to be wrong.
so
They're just-
who was it? Very quickly, just to touch on it, who said it was D-Day?
Just PLZ Soccer.
PLZ
Your
Soccer.
mate Peter Martin.
Big Peter.
Um,
Do you think it is D-Day? Do you think if Hearts were to lose, Stendhal could be gone?
no idea.
I don't think so. I don't think he'll be gone.
No idea.
No, I
He
don't
might
think
go.
so. I don't
Who
think
do
so.
they bring in?
I think he's still got
Honestly, no
another.
idea.
I think he's still got 5 more games.
Because if they get rid of him, I don't know who's an achievable, realistic, better option than Craig Levein.
Hearts
But
don't.
they're not going to bring Craig Levein back, are they?
Hearts have not got the time to appoint a third manager this season.
I honestly think if
not.
Craig Levein was still in charge, Hearts would stay up, in my opinion, without a doubt.
I agree with you. I
But
completely agree with
I
you. As
don't
much
know
as
if they'll
as
stay up with
hopeless as he
Stendhal.
is, as hopeless as it. Do you know what? Let's just end this conversation altogether. Sam Allardyce, bring him in.
Big Sam.
Big Sam. He's
Yeah.
the one to save them. I mean, by the way he speaks about Scottish football, I don't think we'd see him
I
appear
honestly-
anytime soon.
The last thing I'm saying, Hearts, is that I don't know what's going to happen on Friday. I don't know if Stendhal's the man. I don't know who they bring in. I don't know what's going to happen. I hope they get relegated. I'd love to play
Thank
Hearts
you,
away.
David.
I'd love Hearts away next season. That's all.
Thank you for just killing off the Hearts watchers of the,
The Jammed Hearts,
listeners of the podcast.
Listen, if Hearts fans are listening to podcasts just now, they're braver than I thought.
Aye,
Because
true.
like, no one's
We
said anything
slate them
positive
every
about it.
bloody week.
Anyway, we've done loads on Hearts. Let's go to Easter Road because I think this is going to be an interesting game.
Hibs Livy.
I backed Hibs for third on the last podcast.
Yep.
The more I thought about it, the more I agree with myself. I fancy Hibs
Oh,
for
I
third
thought you were going to
place.
say the more you
No,
turned it in yourself.
honestly, I just fancy them.
I would love it. I've already said
Aberdeen
I'd love it,
stuttering.
but I don't think
you know,
so.
Motherwell stuttering. Livy, what have Livy got? This game will be huge.
I've
if Hibs
changed
get
my
3
mind.
points, if Hibs get 3 points, they're going to finish third.
I've changed my mind because I don't know if I said it in the podcast, but I definitely said it on YouTube. I did say it on YouTube. I don't know if I did say it here. I know I did, but I said Motherwell will finish third.
Mhm.
I changed my mind. Aberdeen are going to finish third.
I think Aberdeen are the smart bet
Aye.
because they've got the experience of doing it. However, if you look at the fixtures this weekend,
Aberdeen.
if Hibs
just-
beat Livingston, I can see the way Aberdeen have played this season. I can see them dropping points at home at Ross County.
Aberdeen scream out to me the team that are going to go into the split and win 4 out of 6 games. That's the way I'm just looking at it. I think for as much negatives as I've been, this is a Hibs game I might be talking about, but very quickly. As for as much as negatives I spoke about throughout Aberdeen's season and how bad they've been at points and McInnes in, McInnes out, they just always seem to do it, and I think they will again.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually think Hibs have got more of a tendency to turn it on in the big games than Aberdeen do. But you know, it's going to be interesting. Livy going to Easter Road.
I mean, don't write Livy off
Yeah,
this
I mean,
game anyway.
I have said that I don't know how much further Gary Holt can take Livy.
There's somebody who should be getting the Hearts job.
Yeah, but he's not going to leave Levy.
Oh.
Would you leave Levy for Hearts now?
Not in this point.
a
Not at this point in time. I'd
Not
wait to
at
the end of
hope.
the season.
Not
if they
unless the
stayed up.
money was ridiculous.
I think in the summer, if Hearts stay up, yes, I definitely would.
But then I think in the summer, if Hearts stay up and Stendhal gets a full summer and gets his players in, he might be the man.
But
because you saw what he did with Barnsley when he had a chance to
let's say
revolutionise.
Stendhal finishes 10th or 11th.
If Stendhal finishes 10th, that's a magic end to the season.
I think so.
Oh, of course it is. Do you think Hearts are going to finish 10th, honestly, now?
Well,
from what you've seen from Stendhal's Hearts, do you think they're going to finish 10th?
Well, aye, if you're right, aye, true.
He would bite your hand
Fair.
off for 10th just
Fair.
now. Every Hearts fan would.
Aye, fair enough.
Right, enough of Hearts. I'm fed up talking about them. Hibs, right.
always
Levy
come
go to
back
Easter
to
Road, right?
Hearts.
But Hibs have got. This is why I think Hibs are going to finish third. How many teams in the country would kill for a striker as prolific as McNulty or Doidge? Hibs have got 2 prolific strikers. They've also got creative midfield players. They've got the defence is finally sorting itself out. I just think they're going to finish third. I honestly do. That's my outside
You're
bet.
smiling your face as you said that.
I believe. I genuinely think they're going to do it, and I think Aberdeen are the biggest threat because I think Motherwell are going to fall away. But yeah, I think if Hibs win on Saturday, that's a massive win for them.
Are they winning Saturday? That brings them within 2 points of Levy or something?
Well, depending what other results do. So at the moment they're 5 off second.
Oh, they're 5 off second.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they're only
Wait,
a point behind Levy. So
Wait, they're 5 off second. 5 off.
Sorry, third.
I was
yeah.
about to say they're 5 off Rangers. Surely
No. 5 off third. So they're only a point behind Levy. So they'll leapfrog Levy if they win this weekend.
Didn't even realise how.
Motherwell have got Hamilton, who have had a decent record against Motherwell recently, and Aberdeen. You never know what you're going to get. Ultimately, if Levy got Easter and win, the whole thing's knackered.
I mean, I've always said Hibs will finish third.
Oh, don't say that. You're getting your Hearts team.
I
You're getting your
never
Edinburgh teams
I
mixed up.
never even realised how close that actually is
Yeah,
to
that's what I'm
them
trying
for
to say
place.
to you. Hibs are going to do it, man. But no, I predict 2-0 Levy. No, I'm joking. I think Hibs are going to win. However,
No,
if they do get beat, it might be a completely different.
But just this game does. I say Hibs win, right? But this game screams out typical Hibs to me.
But Hibs just scored
because
goals
They
and
beat, they beat these big teams. They do really well. And they,
But
they,
then,
they
okay,
look
right,
great.
you just said they beat the big teams, right? But you've also just said that you fancy Aberdeen to win 4 out of 6 in the split. But surely by that logic, you should fancy Hibs to do well in the split.
But boom. I know, but this right. I know I'm kind of contradicting myself there, but this game in particular, it screams out to me Livy 3-1 at Easter Road or something like that. It just
think
seems
Hibs have
like
sorted
that.
themselves out defensively recently as well. They're
I still
finally
think they're
sorting
too
it out.
inconsistent with the choices at the back.
Okay, but then everyone else is inconsistent. Aberdeen's been inconsistent. Motherwell have been inconsistent. Levy have been inconsistent. There's not one. This is why I think Hibs
I
are
don't know
going to do
why
it
I
because at the
present
moment,
myself as somebody that's pure anti-Hibs.
at the moment,
on
there's
YouTube
not
I'm
one of them that are really clutching for third place. At the moment, they all kind of look like they don't want
You're
it.
really passionate about having Hibs finishing third, aren't you?
I just believe in them, Anyway,
Oh,
that'll
babies.
do. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game, but I do fancy Hibs. We'll go to Aberdeen at home at Ross County. I think Aberdeen will scrape through, but again,
They will. No, I don't think they'll escape through. I think they'll batter them.
do you?
I think they'll batter them.
Wow.
I just
Wowee.
think, typically when I've predicted this over the past few Aberdeen games, when I've said they'll batter somebody, they've done it. And I just, building off the result against Celtic last week where they played really well, they frustrated Celtic, then building off that win in the Cup during the week, I think this has got all the signs of, Cosgrove getting his start finally.
Do you think County are in trouble if they get beat this weekend?
No, I don't.
Or just everyone else below them just too
Yeah,
bad?
I think Ross County, as I said last week, are that, they're just there.
Yeah, I agree.
They're just going to sit there because the teams below them are that bad and they're not going to move up much further. I don't think they're in trouble, but I think Aberdeen will go and beat them 3-3.
I mean, they got a doing at Easter Road. They got a point against St Johnstone. They also had a good win against Livy recently. You never know what you're going to get with County. I think County make it difficult for Aberdeen.
County play well at Dingwall, which helps. It's not an easy place to go. But there's something to me. It's just screaming out. This is the result that Aberdeen get. That once again suggests to me why they'll finish third. But it's the kind of result that the next game they play, whoever that is, they'll go and they'll struggle. They might win, but they'll struggle.
See, I think that I do think they're going to struggle here, but I think they'll get through. I think what you've said about third for Aberdeen is legitimate because they've got that experience of just having enough to grind it out.
Aye.
They've got the experience of doing that, especially with the running. County, I don't see an awful lot. County have gone to 3 big teams recently. They've got Celtic, Rangers, and Hibs, and been well beaten every time.
Mm-hmm.
So they also got well beaten down at Kelly. So
Aye.
It would suggest it would be an Aberdeen win. If Aberdeen use the confidence of getting through in the cup and getting back in among scoring goals, this could be a good win for Aberdeen. But over the course of the season, I think a typical Aberdeen result here would be 1-0, 2-1 kind of thing. I don't think it'll be.
So we're kind of going both in different directions there.
You think
I
Aberdeen
think they're
are
going
going to
Yes,
hammer
them.
Let's go to the Lanarkshire derby.
Oh God! And by recent form, this is suggesting that we're not in for much, but hopefully they turn it up. Maybe just turn the volume up a tiny bit. I think
Hamilton at home. It's at the Fountain of Youth.
The Fountain of Youth.
Yeah.
Dougie Emery's favourite place.
Last time before I went to Hamilton, I was on here calling it the Super Seal. It's not
So was everybody.
It's not the Super Seal anymore.
But they've still got Super Seal in their shit, have they not?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Well, we're all wrong then.
It's just against modern football and all that.
That's just Hamilton for you, innit? But no, in this game, you know what? This could go either way. Because of how badly both teams have performed. Hamilton have, I think, won here the last time when they played in this fixture.
Yeah, they won at Far Park, I'm sure.
That's so. It's so weird because it's just such a, top versus bottom, but then both of them struggling. You don't know what way to go. Hamilton are in desperate need of a result. Obviously, last week they went to Hearts and they got a fantastic result. I mean, they should have won.
Yeah.
They were disappointed with that, but still, they went away from home.
Good
and
result.
at Tynecastle, we know is not. Well, this season.
I don't think it was a fantastic result. I think it was a decent result because.
Yeah, well, okay.
If
Right.
Hearts, if Hamilton are going to pick up points, they'd have thought
Right,
Hearts
okay.
would do it. Hamilton won at Fir Park in the New Year derby.
That's typical Motherwell.
But then Motherwell won at New Douglas Park, the Fountain of Youth.
I am going to go
in
for an
August, so.
absolute stalemate of 0-0.
I think
just
if Motherwell
see
turn up like they do
something.
defensively on Tuesday night against Big Akumpo, who has been flying recently. What a player. He's going to get a good move in the summer, I think. He's been really good.
Oh, he's going to move up the league.
I think Hamilton going forward are decent.
I also think
they cause
Hamilton-
Rangers problems, they cause Celtic some problems as well.
I also think Hamilton defensively can be.
Can be, but they've got no defenders left.
They've got,
Hamilton's
the
Hamilton's
key is
back,
having
isn't
Big
he? So-
Gogic in the middle of the park. He
Yeah, he's the
changes
key. He
changes
is the
everything.
key.
He's the kind of he has the whole dynamic to the game. He makes it defensive attack, whatever. I think that Hamilton will do enough to keep Motherwell out. I think there's going to be frustrations, and then I just don't see them getting any big chances of their own. I'm going for a 0-0.
I fancy Aki's to win this.
Do you?
It's just typical Hamilton. They always
Aye.
grind out these sort of results, especially they've done reasonably well in these derbies. Like in recent years, mainly at Fir Park though. Actually, they've got a decent record. I don't know. I just fancy it at Hamilton. Motherwell are struggling a lot with form, and it goes along with my Hibs for third prediction. So I want to go with Hamilton.
Let's do as we always do. Let's relate this back to Hearts, just for a quick.
I'm fed up talking about Hearts.
Quick moment, though. This is important, David. You trust me.
Okay.
If Hamilton do win this weekend, as you predict, and Hearts lose this weekend, what do you think that means?
I don't know. Because everything I say about Hearts is wrong. I would logic would dictate that's them down, but they'll go and win 3 in the bounce after that. They'll get the finger out eventually. And no, of course they won't. But I still believe that.
I know what you mean.
I still believe the squad's capable of doing that. Though.
Aye.
That's the mental thing.
It's so weird with Hearts because of that. And then if it's at all the games, there's one more.
Well, there's 2 more.
Two more.
We haven't got the Old Firm to do yet.
Oh, aye, sugar.
Aye, them.
Never realised.
The
what
gruesome
I'm listening
twosome. We'll
excuse
start
me,
with St Johnstone at home to Rangers.
Nah, game over. Rangers win.
Yeah,
I
I'd
mean,
say
you
so.
got to think. I
I'd
mean,
say so.
recent league form for Rangers hasn't been great.
I'd like to see him drop Kent and go with Canberra and Morelos up front.
I would
think
like to
Kent's
see him
been
drop
hopeless
everybody.
No, Canberra's got. I think Canberra's
you've
got
got
to come
one.
in with a start with Morelos for this one because I think if Canberra is to play on Thursday, he needs to have started a game before he does that.
I think that St Johnstone, yes, despite their recent upturn of form in the past couple of months, I just feel like they're one of those teams that can't ever really turn up against the Old Firm.
Look at the record against Celtic. What's it, like 30-0 in the last 6 games?
They just, there's teams around the league that I go when Celtic and Rangers go away from home, and I'm like, that'll be tricky. Fir Park and.
Lennon loves that, doesn't he, Neil Lennon? He loves saying every single week, it's a tricky place to go. Shut up, Neil. You're talking rubbish. And he'll go, that's what annoys me.
Apologise.
He does that, right?
Apologise
He's like,
right now.
St Johnstone's a difficult place to go. Then they've whacked in 4 at half time. Shut up.
It was 3 at half time.
Or whatever, but it just talks nonsense and stuff like that.
Hey.
Hamilton's a difficult place to
You've
go.
got to respect the opposition,
David. Then he goes and scores 4.
What do you want me to come out and say? Easy.
I don't know, but just
Because
don't talk
you
nonsense.
can't go and do that and you get beaten and you just prove yourself a daft. That's Gerrard type stuff.
Don't know. Anyway, so I fancy Rangers to win.
By a few. A good
Do you
few.
think? Yeah. Again, with Rangers, I don't really know just now.
Morelos, I think, should be going all out in this game
He's gotta score.
because he's missing Thursday. He's missing Thursday. He's got to go all out. He's got to get a few goals, I think. 2 or 3 would be ideal for him. Because, you know, it's going to be only a matter of time before people... Morelos strikes me as a sort of character that loves to be spoke about.
I don't think so.
Not negatively. I think he loves the kind of... scoring goals, everybody loving him.
Yeah, but
it's only a matter of time before Hadji's the new golden boy over there.
That might take some of the pressure off Morelos, though.
You think so?
Yeah, I think you could argue that they've been over reliant on him, and that's shown after the winter break when he's out of form. They've struggled for goals, especially.
Yeah.
So maybe Hadji coming into the limelight takes a bit of pressure off Morelos. They could do with Canberry scoring as well, because ultimately with Defoe sideline, they don't have anyone who's going to come in. Like, make no mistake about it, if Jermaine Defoe was still fit, he'd have started a couple of games recently. With the four Morelos is in, especially the league games, I think. So maybe Hadji taking the limelight will help Morelos. I'd imagine he'll be keen to get in amongst the goals, especially knowing he's not playing midweek. I'd like to see him change shape, because I think Gerrard. People criticise Gerrard for staying with the same shape. They've kind of forced his hand with that though. They've not really had the options to change it.
Depth.
So
I mean, an interesting argument I've seen, and this is a completely different video, but you look at the bench at Rangers, you look at the bench at Celtic, it's just, I mean,
that's why Celtic are going to win the league.
You actually go through name by name, and I never even realised until I heard this argument this morning, when you actually put it down and look at it side by side, Fodringham and Barker and Canberry and blah blah blah, and then Celtic have got
Rogic,
El-Yunusi, Christie.
Well, I think Bain's hopeless, but hey ho.
Aye, so they are, but you know, he's better than Fod.
Is he? Oh, I don't know.
I think he is.
I don't think there's much in it. Anyway, but yeah, that is the reason why Celtic are going to win the league title, because of the strength and depth. But yeah, I'd fancy Rangers to win. Quickly on to Celtic.
And finally, we head to Parkhead. I'll be there.
Griffiths, do you think he'll be back fit for this one? I think it was just a strain, wasn't it?
I don't know. I would like to hope so. I'd like to think so, but I think the fact that he didn't travel and all the rest of it, I think Lennon might just give him the weekend off. I don't know if he'd want to rush him back in.
He's going to have Edward playing 3 games in a week.
Because surely, we signed a £3.5 million striker.
Who's he? What's his name again? Klamala. You met him, big Polish
that's right, I did. We signed him for £3.5 million. If you want to give somebody a go, give him a go. You know?
Do they trust him? Well, he wasn't on the bench last night, was he? Bio was on the bench.
Bio was on the bench. But there you go, got another one.
Is he behind Bio in the pecking order?
I don't know.
Or is Klamala actually even registered for Europe? I haven't even...
No, I don't think he is registered for Europe, so that probably makes a lot of sense. But, you know, we don't need to play 90 minutes of Edouard on Sunday, because it's a game at Celtic Park.
They'll go back to 3 at
every single game at Celtic Park that is not against Rangers should be a win. It should be a win with Rangers, but you know what I mean, there's a lot more conversation to go alongside it.
Simunovic will probably come in, they'll go to back 3. Beaton will come in for Brown, I think if Brown's... I don't think they'll risk Brown.
They've got to keep Brown off. Yeah. We need him for Europe.
And then El-Yunusi, you'd imagine, will start.
I think Christie will start.
Rogic might start.
I think Christie will start
because
he should drop Forrest. We didn't even touch on that. I think Forrest would drop. That was one of my other points I was going to bring up earlier, but
because I think you'd probably go with Frimpong. Frimpong, who needs to get some games. Rogic will come in, I'd have thought. Christie...
I think Christie would get in over Rogic.
Do you think so?
Yeah, because Christie's suspending Thursday.
When do you get Rogic games? You're right. Actually,
so that's why I think Christie.
So Rogic might play Thursday.
Yep.
That'd be strange, that, because Lennon hasn't shown the trust in him to do that. Rogic on his day. I said 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, he was the best player in Scotland.
Anymore.
It's been a fall from grace.
Half a misser.
Well, yeah, but Rogic, on his day, can win a game on his own. That type of player.
Aye, he's a player who's been very unlucky.
Yeah, I can't see anything other than a comfortable Celtic victory. Kelly will cause him a few problems, I think.
Kelly have never been.
If they go with Kabamba and Brophy, I've said Kabamba's a big lad up front. We all know what I've said about Julian and Ayer in terms of struggling with big strikers. So Kelly could cause some problems, but I think Celtic will just have too much going forward. Absolutely. Especially when you've got guys like El-Yunusi who are dying to get back in the first team. This is a chance for them. They're going to take it. You know,
it'll be weird to see how El-Yunusi fits into the 3-5-2 formation.
And then let's quickly skim through the rest of the leagues. How long have we been talking?
We have been talking for 58 minutes.
Oh my goodness gracious me! We have to quickly skim through the rest of the leagues.
I know we love to talk about it as much as the lower leagues.
Well, let's start with Dundee United Inverness tonight. Dundee United have been pretty hopeless recently. Inverness.
Yep. Dundee United need to win. They need to end this form. They've got the title wrapped up, but
that's the thing is they've been really bad recently, and Inverness is still like 20 points behind them. So
yep. So it's not going to make a difference.
Inverness,
but you don't want to see your team get beat.
In Inverness's battle for second, they need to win. It's an interesting weekend starting the playoffs, because if Dundee United beat Inverness, which I think people would expect them to, and Dunfermline beat Partick Thistle. We're all
I
of a
was
sudden
literally
2
about to
points
say
off
that.
second, which is just bizarre.
Look at you.
Oh, so excited, by the way. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to talk about Dunfermline because, like, we've not had a
There you
game
go.
for
I'll
we've not
I'll
had a
sit
game
back.
for
I'll
3 weeks.
I'll sit back.
Like, we've not had a game for 3 weeks. I'm not doing press this weekend. I'm going. I can have a couple of pints. I can enjoy the
Ooh.
game. That's going to be amazing.
Let's hope you win,
I'm
because that'll be good viewing.
so excited to watch Dunfermline this weekend. Because we went into this wee break we've had with 2 wins on the bounce, back up towards pushing the playoffs. I think we might be, are we 6th now or something like that? But it's just so tight the way. Yeah, we're 6th now.
It's embarrassing.
But we've got a game in hand, and we're 3 points off 4th, 5 points off 2nd with a game in hand on Arbroath and 4th. So the championship's just mental. We've got games coming up. We play Saturday, Tuesday, I think. But it's games against we've got Thistle at the weekend, who we should beat.
Well, you'd like to hope.
Then we've got Inverness, which is a massive game at home on Tuesday night. If we do win that, wow. We then got Dundee United at home, which our record against Dundee United is horrific. So maybe we're due a win. And then we've got Arbroath.
Maybe you're due to losing.
So we've got some really tough games, and it's season defining. I think these next 4 games for Dunfermline. If Dunfermline take 7 or 9 points, that'd be amazing. If they take 4, then maybe playoffs have to wait another year. But
I think the powers are going up, Dave. Signs sort of point towards it.
I think it's I'm
It's
so
just
looking
those
forward
playoffs,
to it.
isn't
If they win on Saturday, it's great having the positivity about it. I think it's this Dunfermline team. They're such a young team, and it's such a likeable playing squad. There's so many guys in there who the fans just love. The manager being a Dunfermline legend, everyone wants Crawford to do so well. So when he does so well, it's like an added bonus because you're equally happy for him.
It's like Neil Lennon.
Yeah, it's a bit like Lennon. Yeah, so when Celtic win, you're happy for Lennon as well. So when Dunfermline win, everyone's just delighted because you're delighted for the management team. You're delighted for the players.
Because that's quickly touching on that. The happiness I feel under success with Lennon is completely different to the happiness I felt with success under Rodgers.
Yeah.
Because Neil Lennon, as much as we don't want to talk about Rodgers in a positive manner, Celtic fans, we know that. But as much as Rodgers was a Celtic fan. Quotations. As much as he was a Celtic fan, and there's just something the thing that epitomises it all to me. I'm sorry for interrupting your Dunfermline story, but I'd like to get back to it. The thing that wraps up.
I thought we talked enough about Celtic, but hey,
when we beat Lazio in Rome, and the celebrations are going on after the game. It's a good 10 minutes after the game had finished, and out emerges Ginger Nut for the tunnel, walks over to the Celtic end, stares a stead in the eye, everybody's clapping him. And we 1-0 win, and rest it. He just gives himself a big name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit in front of the fans.
I can't believe you're
brilliant.
pushing that.
I'm not pushing that, but you know what I mean? He just
he
loves us, and we love him. And it just
like a wee disclaimer: Talk Scottish Football does not have any affiliation with any section of.
I know,
Christian
but you know
religion.
what I mean. No, of course not. But you know what you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Like it's just it's great to see him.
Right, enough. I'm fed up talking about Celtic. That's
I'm fed up talking about Celtic.
Well, we don't do it often enough. We've not played for 3 weeks. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. For a Thistle point of view, another absolute must-win game for Thistle. I think it's like every week we're like, oh my god, Thistle are actually going to go down, aren't they? And Alloa have been in good form recently, which has killed them. It's a bit of sad news though. I think Joe Cardle's injured. I think he's missing this weekend. I'm actually pretty gutted about it.
It's East End Park, isn't it?
No, it's at
it's at Firhill.
It's
Right,
like a home game for me. I'm delighted.
I was
Super Joe's missing this one. I think I heard he was injured, so it's pretty sad. I'd like to friend of the channel.
I know exactly. He's a channel legend.
So
do you know what? I've never considered this, but see if just say this channel absolutely banged. We had thousands and thousands and thousands of subs. We could always sit back and say the very first guest we ever had on
Super Joe
was Joe Cardle.
Yeah, I know, that'd be amazing. He'd still be the best guest. Anyway, so I think he's missing, but I also think Zach Rudden's missing, which is a big miss for Thistle. You look at their form, in the last 5 they've lost 3 and drawn 2, so they're in a terrible run again, as they have been all season. I don't know who do Alloa play this weekend. Alloa go away to Morton, and it's a sort of game where
Alloa win.
Morton in good form though.
I just have this feeling about Alloa.
Morton are unbeaten in the last 5.
Alloa haven't been too
Morton
bad.
are unbeaten in the last 5. Alloa have been in good form. They're also unbeaten in the last 5.
That's why I just feel I fancy Alloa. I mean, it helps that there's a Celtic man
if
in
charge.
If
Alloa win this weekend and Dunfermline beat Thistle are down.
So do you think that's it? Think it's over?
They've shown no signs, even with the new signings, that they're going to turn it around.
Very similar to the Hearts situation. They've got a squad that should be up there.
Of course,
it's not
exactly
there.
The same as the Hearts situation.
McCall, I feel so bad for.
He must be like
devastated,
and he just must be raging.
What do you do?
Like,
how many times do you think he's went to the drawing board and went, what the hell did I have to do?
It's another one when you look at the players in there. They've got to take take
Because if I
responsibility.
was
Even when
him-
Kenny Miller was there, like
Yep.
he should still be good enough to play at that
absolutely.
level.
The thing is with me, if I was Ian McCall and it was February 1st, Brexit's just happened and the transfer window's just shut. If I was sitting
Do you
down,
think Ian McCall is a Brexiteer?
oh,
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt.
do you think so?
Don Shaz. Oh, without a doubt, man. Anyway,
We'll have to have an episode. We need to do a podcast. 10 most Brexit football managers in Scotland. We've got to do it. But if I was him on February 1st and I was sitting down and I was looking at that team, I'd be
delighted
like,
you're January with. You're delighted with what you've done.
we are
in January.
staying up, boys, and how the hell is it
And
turned
they've
out now?
done nothing to suggest
Yep.
that they're going to turn it around. Same as Stendhal.
I think Dunfermline will win that game. I think Al will win the other game. I think Dundee United will win their game. What was the other game we spoke about?
Well, we did.
Have we not spoke about? I thought it was one of them.
Ayr Arbroath.
Arbroath.
Massive game. If Arbroath win that, they've got real playoff
I
credentials.
think Ayr will win.
Yeah, I do as well. But I think if
I'm not
Arbroath,
taking anything away from
if
Arbroath
Arbroath
because this
do win
season's
that-
been absolutely tremendous. For a team like them to be in the playoff contention is absolutely superb.
if they do get the window, that they've got serious playoff credentials, that will nail them down as proper playoff candidates. But I do
think
fancy
Ayr will
Ayr.
I think Ayr will get it done.
And finally, Queen of the South Dundee. Oh my God, we've talked so much about the Championship, we've not even talked about Dundee yet. There's a whole different kettle of fish.
Game of the weekend here.
Queen of the South Dundee is
No,
going to be a
actually,
horrible
It's
watch
horrifying.
because, he was being sarcastic, it's okay. Dundee are hopeless. Queen of the South are pretty hopeless as well.
Queen of the South.
Queen of the South are one of those that can get drawn into the relegation battle. Dundee need to win.
I think Dundee.
How is James McPake still in a job, by the way? I don't like calling for managers to get sacked, but I don't know how he's not been sacked.
Don't know how Gordon Strachan isn't in charge, to be honest.
Maybe he is, you never know.
Yeah.
So for Dundee, their playoffs aspirations, they need to win.
Yep.
If they don't win, if Queen of the South win at the weekend, this is how mental the Championship is. Queen of the South win at the weekend, they're all of a sudden looking at the playoffs at the top end.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
Mhm.
That's why the Championship's so tough to predict, because you could have 5 teams whose whole seasons could get changed with a couple of wins. Do you know what I mean? And that's how mental it is. I'm looking forward to it this weekend. Quickly touch on League One. Wraith at home to Clyde. Falkirk at home to Montrose. You'd fancy 2 home wins.
Yep. And I do.
Back to just a point between the top 2. They're both banging form. I'm looking forward to them meeting. I think it's midweek. It's coming up soon. It's a midweek.
Just to clarify very quickly, David's the one that has internet access here. He's taking us through the games because I have no capability to see what's on this weekend.
Excuses.
But
yeah, I think we both fancy Wraith and Falkirk to win this weekend.
absolutely. I mean, Clyde could do something. Get the ball to David Goodwillie, maybe get a goal, cause some sort of upset. But there's just too much in it for the top 2 teams.
Yeah.
I don't see how they could be so silly
And
to
then
drop
finally
points
for
at
League
this crucial
2,
point in the season.
every single week for League 2, we think, right, Cove are going to run away with it. I think Cove are going to drop points this weekend.
Do you think so?
Because they play Queen's Park, who are flying since they've
Yep.
gone professional since the January window.
Aye.
4 wins out of the last 5. Cove, who have, along with Edinburgh City, have kind of started in the last 5. Edinburgh have, who do they have? They've got Brecon. Brecon, who are
you've got to
fighting for their lives.
You've got to think that it's to win that. The other game, though, I can see where you're coming from, but I am going to say that the 2 top teams win. Once again, it's at that point in the season, you've just got. I mean, obviously, it doesn't happen. Evidently, it doesn't happen across all 4 leagues. Teams at the top drop points. It's just the nature of football.
Yeah.
But every week, I feel like we should be going at it, especially when it's this close. I feel like it should be going into this saying both should win because it's the only option for them if they want to take the title.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go for both the top teams to win again.
Right. What a show that was.
I know, that's an hour and 7 minutes.
If you've made it through, well done. Deserve all the
you
praise
can
in
get
the world.
the stapler that David is currently
Messed around with.
fondling with.
Quickly, that's us a month in.
I know.
We're a month
I still
in.
got to check the YouTube link thing.
But
But I know it's been a great first month. I mean, what we at 3,
378 at the time of recording subs.
which is
Listen, support has been
tremendous.
amazing.
Yep.
We've got a core group of commenters on the YouTube and stuff
Yep.
and the Instagram and stuff who've
Make sure and share it out.
yeah,
Get as many
it's
people
been
listening
great
as
to support. Glad to see people are enjoying it.
There's so many things we want to do to take the channel in a positive direction, including recording, getting them all on a source that you can just listen on the go. There's so many things that hopefully.
Just for a bit of context, everyone, we're currently in our first year at college.
Yep.
Next year, I think we're going to try and make a big push in terms of getting cameras and stuff. Hopefully, maybe even get our own wee sort of recording set up.
I mean, this
'cause
is
at the moment,
cracking. This is brilliant. What we're using.
It is brilliant.
It's professional.
fantastic stuff. But every day for these podcasts, we're coming into the college, praying that a booth is
hoping it's
free,
empty.
then try to find a microphone and stuff. So it's not ideal, but we're making it work. And listen, the support's been great, and it's even the comments from the few that are
And
sort of,
as
it's
well,
great to
just
see.
I'd love to. There's people who have been coming to my channel recently, commenting, and this is ones you might, David, because I don't think you're on my videos too often,
No,
considering
fed up
you're
being
not a
a
Celtic fan. But there's plenty of people who comment on my videos saying, listen to some of the podcasts today, love it, great. They're really bigging up how good it is between the two of us. And then there's a lot of people who've been commenting as well saying you should start a podcast, and I've directed them over here. So if you are new and you've watched for the first time, welcome, and hopefully it just keeps going strong.
Yeah.
In the future.
In terms of like, we've got a new sort of series. Again, we'll leave that until a later date. We'll come out with what it is. So we're trying to branch out and do other types of content. But I think the two of us were both very open in terms of like suggestions of what people want to hear and stuff like that.
Yeah, so always fire.
We're here to
fire
please.
away what you want to say.
Yeah, thank you all for the support. As per usual, drop a sub, a like, and follow us on all social media stuff. And we'll see you next time. Cheers.